Okay, so I'm here with Lewis Byrne, who competed and won his professional debut this weekend. Long awaited, I must say. There's been a lot of ups and downs in this journey so far, and this was obviously one of the highlights to finish. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I'm going to call you Stretch Armstrong. I don't know how you were able to bend your body like that. It was probably one of the maddest submissions I've ever seen. But um, how are you? Thank you very much for joining me. How are you feeling? It's a few days removed from obviously the show. Um, how are you feeling now reflecting on the pro debut?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling good, and thanks for having me as well, Dave. It's been a minute. Definitely has been a minute. Maybe about 2 or 3 years since last time I've been on the show, but yeah, no, thanks for having me. Yeah, no, just been like I said, relaxing, just enjoying the bit of stress-free life that I've been having over the last 2 days. A lot of build up for the fight. Building myself up, Jesus, like the majority of the year they get back into the cage. It's not as if I've been injured at any point throughout the year. Just fights haven't been going ahead for me. There's been pullouts, there's been just plans not going to plan. But it's all sort of led to the point of the weekend gone and getting that nice finish on Clanwars 50. But yeah, no, the finish itself, it's something I'd go for in the gym like very regularly. Just like I wasn't even going for a submission really. I was going for more of a sweep. But just the way the guy had me held down in that front like that headlock position. And I think he didn't want to let go of it. He looked a bit worried. He looked that like that he didn't want to give up his own position in case I swept him or whatever. So because he hang on to it, the sub went on and it cranked his neck to the other side of his body, almost made him do the bleeding the exorcist spin around the head. But yeah, no, I was delighted with it, really, really, really happy that's how the pro debut went, especially for all the work that I put in myself, and all the work that my teammates put in, me coaches and all that sort of stuff. So it was lovely to sort of cap off the end of the year with a nice win like that over the weekend.
Yeah, and then obviously you were part of Clan Wars 50, which was a historic event for them. You fought on the show many times. What was it like being a part of a show like that and going down in history? Because when you get to the likes of like 10, 25, 50, 100, so they're kind of milestones and your professional debut was on it. Like, how does that make you feel as a professional to make it on that show? And they've obviously got the link with PFL, and you see what, like the likes of Kaelan Loughran and other fighters that have competed on it, gone on to. What was it like just being part of the show and being asked to fight on the show?
I think it's amazing for any show to get that many shows in the country, on that regional scene of Ireland. 50 shows is not to shake a stick at, like a lot of obviously work and preparation and discipline has gone into keeping the show running. And I've been on the show multiple times before, and it's always been a really well run show, great setups. And I think the one weekend there, in the new Forge Arena was probably the best one, best setup that I fought on a Clan War show. The vibe in the room, deadly as well. Everything really, everything with the show, especially that 50 show was really, really cool. Good fights. I managed to catch a couple of the fights in the very beginning, a couple of the novice fights, and that was the first 5, 6 fights on any amateur show in Ireland, especially when they're novice. They're some of the best fights you're going to be seeing that night. The boys don't care. The boys are there to hurt each other in their novice debuts. Full of adrenaline, full of beans, just going at each other. And so that was good to see them as well. Then some other really high level amateur fights as well. Obviously, unfortunately, there was a couple of other pro fights that were supposed to be on the show as well. My own teammate Graham Sheen. It was unfortunate to see him make his pro debut, but hopefully be on something soon. But other than that, yeah, no, all the fights were great, especially on that main card towards the end. There were all the titles. And yeah, really, really enjoyed getting in there myself, and having fun for 60 seconds or whatever it was.
Yeah, so like I said, this build up has been a while. Like obviously, you had a fight scheduled before. There was issues with that. It fell out. Then me and you were actually supposed to interview. I want to say it was this time last week or Monday last week. I get a
Mm.
voice message. Obviously, the fight had fallen out. I knew kind of when I seen the voice message, I was like, this isn't good. Then the next morning, you said that to me. You said you sleep on it. We got there. The next morning I seen Clanwars already had someone. So once you kind of got to the cage, Like, were you still kind of, how frustrating was it for you? And what did it feel like when you actually got to the arena, everything was weighed in and you were about to step into the cage? Was there a sense of relief that, okay, this is finally happened now? But what about the frustration when you found out about the pullout originally?
Yeah, like I was glad to finally be at the show on the day and knowing that the fight I had to, unless something fucking mental happened, I was gonna go ahead that day. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, like a lot of time and effort and just discipline's gone into the last year. Like my last fight was just over a year ago, over in Manchester and Anthony Pettis FC. And since then, at the beginning of the year this year, I thought I had the year mapped out to a T. I thought I was going to be fighting on Clanwars 47 or 48, whatever it was, and back in the end of February, start of March. Found out the week of. The guy I was fighting couldn't get into the country due to a visa problem. So I was like, all right, shit. Wait another day or so to see if they could get a replacement. No replacement. Sapphire was off. So I was like, all right, Grant, no worries. It's only end of February now. I'll definitely be fighting in maybe the next month or so. Next month came across. I had already organized. It might have been a bit foolish looking back in hindsight now, but after the initial fight that I thought I was going to have this year. I just planned a trip away with my girlfriend. But the day I got back from the trip was the day of Cage Warriors. So that obviously made it impossible for me then to find the Cage Warriors card because a lot of money had gone into this trip me and my girlfriend had organised. So that was unfortunate. So I was like, right, we'll try and fight in June or whatever it was. Same thing happened, fights just falling apart, not being able to get a fight, that sort of thing. So the summer hit. Um, Again, what would you call it? Selfishly, sort of for my own career, I had planned a trip away with friends. So like two trips in a year. I thought, what's the worst? I couldn't miss that many fights going away once in March and then going away once in July. But little did I know it was gonna force me to miss a couple of fights here and there. So that's definitely something I'm gonna knock on the head now going to the new year. Luckily enough, this fight came around. Um, Done me 2 months camp, diet, trained hard, all that sort of stuff. And 3 days into the water load, I found out the opponent was out again. And the last Clan Wars earlier on in the year, I was 3 days into my water load and I found out my opponent was pulled out. So I thought the second time it couldn't happen again. I actually met with my sports psychologist on the Monday, the bank holiday Monday that week, and she was asking me how am I feeling this week going into the fight week, and I was just saying, like I'm feeling good, feeling fit, feeling confident, but the last time I got to this stage and the water load and stuff, my last opponent pulled out. Now I know that's not going to happen again, but I had that little worry in the back of my head, and lo and behold, 24 hours later the opponent was gone again. So it's funny the way things work out. Luckily Clan Wars and praise a lot of praise to them, a lot of respect to the guy who turned up. They were able to find me a replacement. Up a weight class. Honestly, I would have fought at welterweight if I had to that week. I didn't really give a bollocks. I just wanted somebody to be in front of me. Um, on the night of the show, who was willing to fight because I wanted to get that pro debut out of the way. I think if I had to wait till next year, it fucking kill me. Being laid off for that one full year. Like I'd never had a long layoff like that before. Um, During my amateur career, like there was a time where I would have fought like maybe 13 times in about 7 months, 7 or 8 months. And then towards the end, I took a big injury and I tore my rotator cuff, so I actually had to take a bit of a layoff. But never like have I ever been uninjured, fully fit, fully ready to go in training camps and just like fights not going ahead and falling apart from me. So yeah, like that was quite a long-winded answer for you there, but the year's been a long one. But I was glad to finally step in there on Saturday night and get the job done in the way that I got it done as well.
I'm delighted for you because, like I said, you one of the first people I'd interviewed. I want to say it was second. I think it was Taylor, then you,
Yeah,
and I've always been looking out for your fights, and I always try and keep up to date with you. And obviously, you talked about the break after your amateur career, or not between the amateur. Because I remember, I think I put it up that it was I put up, it was about yourself and Taylor, and it was like these guys have fought this many times. And I think I said 12 months, and you were like, it's actually 8 months or something like that. I remember that.
Yeah.
And at the time, like looking back on that now, if you were talking to an amateur fighter, would you recommend they fight that many times, or did you find it took a toll on your body at the time?
Um, it's probably one of those things you take for granted for when you're younger, you know. You probably don't put as much weight on in between fights as you would as you get that little bit older and your metabolism slows down a little bit if we're just talking about making weight for fights. But look, come here. For any amateur fighter, I'd recommend getting as many fights in as they can in as little time as possible. No real rush really, but like just try and gain as much experience as you can in as many places as you can in the UK and Ireland, abroad, wherever you can get it. You know, at these big IMAF tournaments and stuff, in Asia and Saudi Arabia and stuff. Do as much as you can while you're amateur, because like regardless of what your record is, like who cares about your amateur record when you become a professional? The only person who cares about it is you, do you know? So yeah, I'd honestly, I would recommend, you know, these younger guys and girls coming up, get as much experience if you can. You know, no single win defines you, no single title defines you, no single loss defines you. It's all about getting in there. And if you take a loss, if you take two losses in a row, if you take three losses in a row, you know, get your head back down and continue training, stay disciplined and don't give up. Like if MMA is something you want to do, because for some people, like MMA, they know it's something they want to do. But you know, after a loss or two, they can have their mind changed and they can get in their own heads and say, maybe it's not for me. But it's like it really is just about getting the head down and not letting any single win or any single loss get to you, and just, you know, keep fucking chugging on ahead, you know?
Yeah,
So that's
no,
what I would say. That's what my advice would be to any of these younger amateurs coming up.
yeah, no, 100%. And like that, I was talking, I like when I talk to a fighter and they've lost, and I've probably done what you after you've taken loss, I'll always reach out to people and have a chat with them after to see if they're
Yeah.
okay. Like if you won, that lasts what, about 24, 48 hours kind of, then you're back to work, you're back in the gym. It should
Yeah.
be the same with a loss. Like, it's not a sort of way. It's like
100%.
have your 24 hours to kind of be sad and have your cry. I don't mean that in disrespect, but like, kind of be sad,
Yeah,
kind
no,
of
100%.
let the
Yeah,
emotions out, and then
yeah,
Monday, like you said, if that's something one you want to do, other than the likes of Khabib, who is like a once in a kind of lifetime generational
mm,
fighter, you're not gonna find someone who losses. All your favorite champions have multiple losses. They all
yeah.
have bad days, and I think then it does then improve them. You talked about something there, and I don't know if you'd be comfortable talking about it. Sports psychologist is something that I've kind of been pushing as well, and I asked
Mm.
people about and seeing. Is it something you're comfortable talking about as to
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
yeah, because obviously MMA is hugely physical, right? So obviously all your training is going to be physical and that. But I think mentally is probably percentage wise is a big portion of actually going into the fight game. You've got the leading up to the fight week. One of the most nervous times I think I would believe is out the back waiting to go out.
Mm.
I think your mind should be trained, and you should exercise your mind in different ways as well. And a sports psychologist is that. And how have you found it? Was there any particular reason, or how have you found it so far? Do you help it helps you going into the likes of fight weeks, and it kind of gets rid of some of the doubts and nerves that you may have?
Yeah, look, I've been working with my sports psychologist. I'll give her a shout out. It's Molly Doyle SP on Instagram. If anybody is also interested in getting involved with her. But yeah, no, she approached me maybe 5 or 6 weeks out from this fight, and just asked if I'd be interested in, you know, doing a couple of sessions with her and seeing what it was all about. Now, I've always heard of sports psychology and had a sort of general idea of what it was, but look, I entertained it, and I thought, what's the worst that can happen? It's not going to make me worse as a fighter, you know. So I gave it a go, and it really, like, it's not as complicated as you might think it is. It's just it's about finding out what makes you tick as a person, maybe not even as a fighter. What are the things that sort of, you know, you hold value for in your life? And it's got, like, look, come here. the sessions are going to be different for every single fighter, every single athlete who takes part in a sports psychology session. You know, people are going to want different things from it, but anything at all, if it makes you that 1% better, like why not? Do you know what I mean? Why not? It's helped me. You know, it's helped me just in regard to like giving value to certain things in my life within fighting and then outside of fighting as well. Because sometimes, you know, like for this fight, for example, for 2.5 months, you're fighting on this date. Everything in your life, if you're taking it seriously, is going to be focused on the person who's in front of you at the end of those 2.5 months. So other things in your life can sort of take a sideline. So it's important to give value to those things as well. Outside the fine. So I'm not gonna go too in depth into what my sessions consist of. I don't want any future opponents taking notes or anything from this interview, Dave. But look, it's something I'd recommend all fighters just to give it a go. You might like, you might not. It might not be for you, but it might be for you, and it might make you that 1% better because, like you said, the mental side of the sport is really it's huge. It's make or break for some fighters. You'll see some fighters like you mentioned there, Dave, the back room. Some fighters are super loud in the back room. Some fighters are super quiet in the back room. You don't know what's going on inside their head. You don't know if the loud fighters are the worried and they're sort of putting on this bravado thing, then you go out and you fall apart. And then the silent fighter might be psyching themselves up and getting themselves ready and they go out and win, or vice versa. So everyone's sort of mentality is very different. So it's something I think it's something that everybody can explore for themselves. But yeah, no, it's something that I would definitely recommend to everybody to give a go anyway, just to figure out what sort of person, what sort of fighter you are.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I see a lot more of it picked up. The past year, especially. There's a couple of people. Obviously, I'll once this is released, I'll tag. It was Molly, wasn't it? Molly
Yeah,
in
yeah.
it, and like I just think it's not that it's necessary. Like I said, it could be for you. It might not be for you.
Mm,
You try all these other things in training. I think that's one thing that needs to be. So, like I said, one person it could be make or break. Some person could just have a mental block, and that person can
mm,
get through the mental block. And Nathan McGillian, for example, done that, and then he got silver in the Four Nations. He was probably fighter at
mm,
the tournament, even though he lost. And he said once he got past his mental block, he was able to kind of find who he was as a fighter and start getting these finishes. But talk about your opponent change that close today. Obviously, you were relieved to get fire. What happens to the game plan then? Does the likes of Andy Redzer, do people? I know Jer Harris is a massive part of that gym for helping
mm,
look at fighters and study them as well.
mm.
Like, was it like a scramble to go look? Did you worry about it, or did the guys take that off your plate and just let you keep doing the water load and then the weight cut? Because
Mm.
that's a big deal in itself. I'm not sure you went up in weight in the end. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, like weight wasn't a problem at all, leading up to it, even when the opponent changed. For me, I already had a couple of, not the result that I wanted in the fight. Obviously, everybody wants to win, but I already had a couple of sort of goals I wanted to hit within my performance on that night. Just a couple of goals I worked on myself. That's actually another one of the things I would have worked on with my sports psychologist Molly. Just things I wanted to hit during the fight. Just certain things about my performance that I would like to achieve. And if I got it, I got it, and if I didn't, I didn't. But it was just about reviewing that then afterwards. So look, when I found out I was finding somebody new, those goals stayed the exact same. I was going to hit those same goals, and I did in the end. Even though I only had about 60 seconds to do it, and then the fight was over. But going up a weight class, just that little thing of this guy might be a little bit bigger than me now, or have the little bit of strength, a little bit of size advantage. But the guy took it on 3 days notice. So I was in my head, like, he couldn't be that fucking heavier than 70 kilos if he's taking it on 3 or 4 days notice. So, like, it's a lot for him to take as well. That, I was right. There's a fighter who's been training now for the last 10 months for a specific opponent. I am a different opponent, but this guy, like, I was ready, for 2 months for anybody to step into that cage across me. I didn't care who it was. So nothing really changed for me. And plus, the guy was a bit of a ghost. I couldn't really find any footage of his past fights, anywhere. I found his social media, and that was about it. Because I couldn't find anything else. I usually wouldn't even look up social media. I couldn't really give a bollocks about someone's social media. I was mainly looking for footage and clips and tape and stuff like that. So the only thing I really knew was it was an Eastern European guy, probably, a pretty good background in some sort of grappling if he's, Eastern European, taking part in mixed martial arts. So the game plan stayed roughly the same, Dave, to be honest. And yeah, I was happy enough that I still hit those 3 goals I had during the fight.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and I'm delighted that you got that fight. At the end of the year. Like I said, I followed you for quite some time, and I was talking to you the first time you got to pull out, and I could the devastation, obviously, but it's gone ahead now. At the end of the year, you can enjoy Christmas now as well. You can enjoy Christmas. Don't obviously get too heavy going into the new year because. Do you have plans for New Year? Are you just going to take everything as it comes now because of the way the last year has panned out? You had the year kind of planned out in your head and what how many fights you wanted to kind of have because that went the way it did this year. Sorry, are you going to take it as it comes rather than look for numbers and just see how you feel on a day? Like just see what fights do pop up as they come along.
I think going into the new year, I'm gonna stay disciplined until then. I want to be ready on, 3 to 4 weeks notice for any fight that might come my way. I want to be open to as many opportunities as possible for next year as well. I don't want to do anything to myself or, add anything into the lifestyle that's going to hinder that. So like, no trips away anyway until I get at least another 2 or 3 fights in. And then I can reward myself after that because I do want to get another solid couple of fights in. I've a nice bit of momentum now coming off this fight. Like I said, still no injuries. And hopefully no injuries now till the end of the year. So it's just about staying fit, staying disciplined, having your cheat days every now and again, like we all need to have. And then yeah, just like I said, taking all these opportunities that are going to be coming my way next year.
Yeah, and obviously there's a big potential with like Clanwars, like I said, are linked with PFL. You've got Cage Wars as well, which Jamie Abbott, I think, probably looked the best I've seen Jamie Abbott in a. Not that he didn't look, but he just looked that the pro game
Yeah, no,
suit him. Like it seemed to suit
yeah,
him so much more.
you done really really well. I was sitting cage for that fight, and I was jumping around the place. I was like a fucking rabbit bouncing around the place. But yeah, he done really well. Really, really good hands. Put your boy away, and I think it was the second round, was it? But like was piecing him up in the first round as well. So, and I think Jamie's jiu-jitsu was really, really good. I think he got a TKO finish, and the other 3 boys on the card all got submission finishes that night. Saul, Jared, and James. So that was funny. But yeah, no, Jamie has hands as well. I'll be looking forward to seeing him getting back in there in the new year.
Yeah, no, because obviously you see him go. You've got Jer Solomon, who's the buzzer beater at the minute. He seems to be just
Yeah,
finishing fights within the last 10 to 15 seconds or something.
yeah.
What's it like now? You've been through the amateur, you've been through the ringer and amateur, IMAFs the whole lot. There's a lot more opportunities with the likes of PFL. You've got Octagon, you've got Cage. Obviously, Cage Warriors is kind of the route most people want to go. But what is it like knowing that there is other options out there? Because MMA just seems to have exploded over the past couple of years because the talent coming out of this country, especially, and
Mm.
across Europe. What's it like having those options?
It's nice, like it's nice. There's multiple routes you can go, there's one route for me that I do want to go though, and I don't think look, like I said, I'm gonna take any opportunity that comes my way in the next year. But like ideally, like I would like to go that route with the Cage Warriors, maybe get a couple of fights in there, maybe eventually fight for a title. That's after Saul wins the title and then he goes to the UFC. Maybe do that and then hopefully get to the UFC as well eventually one day. I think that's every young lad, every young lady's dream, who started MMA that they eventually wanted to get to the UFC. So that's the pinnacle of it. So maybe one day, just give me a bit more time and we'll get there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like that, because what I like about Cage Warriors the past year, they've taken on the likes of Jamie, Solomon, Darren Ward, I believe. No, he had they took on
Yeah,
Kieran Brady's debut was on it as well.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, does that fill you full of confidence that, because years ago it would have been kind of more experienced fighters kind of going to it, the fact that you can get that chance earlier on in your career. Like, does that fill you with a bit more hope? And especially with the gym you're in, you've got champions there. You've got so many fighters that have fought there. It's just up to you now, just to hopefully the call comes for maybe your next fight.
Hopefully, maybe we'll see what happens, Dave. We'll see what happens. But no, I think Cage Warriors especially has a really good base in Ireland. You know, they have a big fan base, and like what there's plenty of fighters to choose from as well. You named a couple of names there yourself. And that last card in Dublin back in March or April, whenever it was, really good cards. I think just about every single fight was there was an Irishman or an Irish woman fighting. You know, so that just goes to show like the roster of available Irish fighters in the country. With countless of other names that you didn't name there either. So yeah, look, I'm hopeful. The fingers are crossed. We'll see what happens in the new year, but you might see me with a pair of yellow gloves on eventually.
You know, hopefully we see that sooner rather than later. But when it comes, it'll come. I'm gonna let you go. I've really enjoyed this conversation. We need to have a catch up more than ever. I want to say it was 2 years since the last time. Well, it's 3 since I started this, so I'm assuming it's about 3 years. Since
Yeah,
oh,
maybe I think so. Like I was one of the OGs, you know, in the very beginning when I was a little baby faced amateur a couple of years ago. But yeah, no, I have the beard now. I have an extra 15 fights or so under the belt. So no, it's good to be back, and thanks for having me, Dave.
no, it's an absolute pleasure. Uh, enjoy your Christmas. I'll be chatting to you anyways, and then hopefully we'll get some news in the new year. And just yeah, congratulations on everything and finally getting there and being able to stick it out because it is hugely frustrating. If there's anything you want to say before you go, the floor is yours. If not, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, now just give a shout out to the Team Rhino down in Mead as well. All the coaches, you know, putting time into me, putting time into the whole team, and all my training partners as well. That's about it. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Dave. I appreciate the time and have a good Christmas as well.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, pal.